statement put out by Manchester United, I just want to read one sentence. It says, quote, "His unparalleled record of achievement, character and service will be forever etched in the history of Manchester United and English football." Phil, you knew him well. Can you tell us some of your memories of this great man?
Well, I think I said at half-time, you're talking about a giant of the game, worldwide, not just in one club, for his country and worldwide. Humble man. He taught me how to behave as a Manchester United footballer. He taught me the history of Manchester United. You talk about he was a survivor from the Munich air disaster. As a Manchester United supporter, I think that's when the club was born, and they then taught every footballer that came into that football club the history of the club, what it means to play for that club, what are you playing for when you pull on that badge. He was the most humble man. He would come down to the dressing room before and every game, whether it was win, lose or draw, and shake your hand and give you a hug. And he would never comment on the game. He would just make that little small gesture. And I think Tim would back me up. He was probably one of the most humble, most gentle superstars that I've ever met. He was my father's hero, and then he became my hero. So quite a sad day for me.
Indeed, I think a hero, as you say, to millions as well. You talk about how he taught you to become a Manchester United player. How did he do that?
It was the little things. You saw that picture there about how he wore the club blazer. He demanded that the club and the players wore the club blazer. He wanted you to act and behave in a certain way. The way that he behaved with class, with dignity. We lost a game at Leeds, and Leeds Manchester United was the most ferocious game. And he came in after the game, and we was devastated. And I never forget the words that he said. He said, "We are Manchester United. We've come back from worse situations than losing a game of football at this football club. In 3 days' time, we play Newcastle United. We go again, but we do it with class and dignity." And from that moment onwards, it was my first experience of the first team, first experience of one of the greatest. And I was in awe of him. It was almost like a lesson in how to behave and how to be a Manchester United footballer. He didn't like you wearing caps. He didn't like you being bad behaved. He just wanted you to act with class and dignity. And he was one of the giants.
Tim, you started your career in England at Manchester United, so you came across Sir Bobby a number of times. Share with us your memories.
Well, so much of what Phil said is true and poignant. You know, he was a pillar of the football club, and as Manchester United moved forward under Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Bobby was always there. He was always there in the shadows. He was always there to lean on for not only Sir Alex Ferguson, but for all the players, because there were so many players that came from all different walks of life into Manchester United. And I remember, when you get to United as a player, people want a piece of you. When times are good, they want a piece of you. When times are bad, they want to criticize you. Never Sir Bobby. He was always there with a handshake. He was always there with a smile. And as Phil mentioned, there wasn't a lot of words. You just knew he was there for you. He protected the players. He loved the football club. One of the greats of the game, for what he meant to Manchester United, for all the things that he did on the pitch, but an absolute incredible human being, classy and gentleman all the way through.
I think when you talk about greats, Pele, Maradona, Michael Jordan, Messi, he's up there with those players. You look at the stats, he won the Ballon d'Or, the European Cup, he won the World Cup. He's done everything in the game, but he did it a certain way. And that's the way that I remember him. Not the medals, just the way he did it.
We appreciate that, Phil. Tim, thank you very much. The terribly sad news this Saturday lunchtime: Sir Bobby Charlton, Manchester United and England legend, global sporting icon, has died at the age of 86. Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.